It's a pretty miserable day today. Rain all day long. Okay if you got things outside. I'm back checking things again. I've got a couple of bits and bobs that I want to get done today. One of them is these sweet bell peppers. We've been keeping an eye on them. We're growing them indoors on heat mats and we're providing light for them because it's consistently overcast. That's going to make your plants start to stretch and then they won't be very good. So I give them a little bit of extra light, and I've only got them in these tiny little cells. Not much space in there, but these plants have come on really well. And if you look at them, you can see that there's some that are starting to get the first true leaf. And because they're such tiny cells, I want to get them moved on and encourage faster growth. We've also sowed some brassicas as well. Once again, they're quite slow to germinate. I've got a couple of bits and bobs that's coming up at the moment, but the one that's doing the best is this one. That's purple sprouting broccoli, and I think I mixed a little bit of regular broccoli in with that as well, but you can see we've got quite good germination. I'm just going to let those probably get a little bit bigger before I move them, because at the moment they're only about the size of cress. So still plenty of time to let a few grow on. I don't want all of these plants. I'm just going to select the best out of them. But at least something is trying. We've had some peas come through as well, although there is a bit of mould on top of this. If you look there, you can see a little bit of mould on top. That's because we kept them covered up for a bit too long. They'll be alright. But you can see that we've got some peas coming through now. So we've got a few on the way, and I can see a couple more that's trying to poke through as well. We did 2 trays of those. So far we've only had around 5 that's come through, but the others will follow. Sometimes they can take a little bit longer. It just depends on weather, as everything does when you're growing. But this is one thing that we started quite recently, and it's not much or anything to see, but it is encouraging. Out of this tray we've got one tiny little plant growing that you can see there. That's his first tomato plant of 2024. That's those moneymaker seeds that we sowed quite recent. And we've had these under light because tomato plants will stretch really quickly if they don't get enough light. So they'll be going back indoors because there's no sun available for anything today. Every single chance that you get, when it's sunny, bring your plants out for a couple of hours. Don't put them in full sun though, because you could shock those plants. They're not used to that intense light of that sun. It's quite different from grow lights. So just put them in your greenhouse where they're getting their light but not full sun on them, because you could scorch leaves if you do that. But it's definitely worth bringing them out, because that's called hardening off. And you can't just take your plants from indoors straight to outdoors and start planting them. They need to be hardened off. So just bring them out for about an hour a day and then take them back in. And if you do that for about 5 or 6 days, they'll just come accustomed to sunlight, and then once it comes time to bring them out and leave them out, they'll be perfectly fine. The spring onions are still alright as well. They're coming on. I stopped watering those because that container is quite heavy and you don't want to overwater your plants, otherwise you're going to rot the roots before you even get going. So that's going to get left. Onions are very resilient anyway. It seems to look a little bit cloudy in here again today, but once again it's the weather and the fact that the glass needs cleaning. Nothing wrong with camera, in case you were wondering. That's that lettuce container we did quite recently. And it might just be me, but those plants look a bit bigger already. As soon as you take them out of those cells, they'll soon start and put on some growth. Just make sure you keep them eye up, otherwise slugs will destroy them. Which is the reason why we only grow lettuce in containers now. I don't plant any outside in ground anymore. It's just a constant battle, and they grow perfectly fine in containers anyway. The main thing is, as we approach spring, we've got something on go. That's all that matters. All I need to do now is move these peppers into somewhere just a little bit bigger to bring them on a bit. We don't need to be too mad. one of these is probably 3 times the size of those cells that they're in. So you could just quite easily move them into this. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a few of these out. Some of these are getting quite big leaves on them, so they might have developed a nice little root system by now, which is a perfect time to move them on, especially since they're now getting the true leaves. So I'm going to sieve a little bit of compost and we'll move a couple on today. So quick and easy, that compost has been sieved and I've added some slow release fertiliser to this, and I'm just going to give it a good mix. Just added a bit of grow more to it. Just some extra nutrition for these plants. You don't need a lot when they're very small plants like that. At least they're getting something. So I'm just going to loosely fill my tray. And then just compress that down. You know, routine. And then we top it back off again. And that's the tray set up in no time. So now we can move 12 of those plants into here. So a pretty simple job for us to do again today. Just make some nice deep holes in your compost, just to allow for the roots to go down and to get that compost in. We don't want to knock all compost off it, so we just make sure we've got enough room to accommodate them. This compost is also quite damp, so I don't need to water it. And we'll get some of these plants out. I can see there's some that are quite big compared to others. So if I just ease that out of there, you can see that's the stem of a plant that I cut away because we had 2 germinate. And they have got a nice little root system on them. And because we've made those holes nice and deep, we can now just push those plants right in like that, even burying a little bit of that stem. It won't hurt your peppers if you do that, but at least we're giving them a little bit more room now. So just pinch the bottom of that one and it lifts out that easy. You can see how it's dry at the bottom as well, but wet on top. A good indication that it doesn't really need watering at the moment. We just need to move these plants on. They'll soon start and put a bit of extra size on. So be really careful when you do this that you don't snap that stem. Sometimes they can get stuck. So just go steady away with them like that. And you're just transferring that entire plug into a bigger cell and buying yourself an extra few weeks by doing that. Really easy job, but definitely worth doing. And these of course will be going back inside afterwards as well. It's still too cold to leave your peppers outside. This one has still got 2 plants growing in it. I obviously missed one. And I'm going to take one away. I'm just going to pinch that top off like that. That leaves us that one plant then. That one had a slightly bigger true leaf on it as well, which is why I kept that one. And we'll get that in. Because we've had them under lights, you can see that they're not stretched either, which is exactly what we want. So I'll just keep going till I filled this tray and got the biggest of these plants. If your stems are a little stretched, just add a little bit more compost around bottom and bury them a little bit deeper. This one's got a nice true leaf on it. Hopefully you can see that there. Well on its way. And this one has got another one trying to grow outside of it there, tiny one. We've already pinched one out of here already, so this one had 3 that germinated. We'll take that one away. We'll keep the biggest one. And as quick as that, that's your 12 bell peppers all moved on. That was definitely a job worth doing. We don't have to worry about these. And that's 12 peppers in a very small area. I am going to be taking these back indoors though, so I can bring them on with lights. But what I am going to do is the ones that are left. I'm going to leave them in here now. We've got 6 plants left out of that tray. And because we're not getting minus temperatures at the moment, I'm just going to pop them in here and leave them, just to see how they get on. To see if that natural light, even though it's slightly overcast, makes those plants grow any better than the ones that we've got indoors, a little bit warmer and under grow lights. And if you want to see how these plants turn out over the next couple of months, please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you next time. We'll get these straight back indoors. And that baby tomato plant. Take care.